After Dragval's possible AI turd, I needed a palate cleanser. Luckily, I have just the album to do so. Hi people, and hello my Chili and Carnage crew. It's Chili here, the man who produces Iron From My Eyes, doing a 5-minute review on Blackbraid's newest album, Blackbraid 3. Now, what you just heard there was the finest K-pop song you will ever hear. Or at least I assume that's what K-pop has evolved into after all these years. Well, one can at least hope, because I haven't really listened to that genre since Mr. Chow danced around like a horse, surrounded by the finest women that Korea's plastic surgeons could absolutely create for these video clips. By the way, did you know that plastic surgery is so commonplace in Korea that sometimes it's given to children as a college graduation gift? There's your fact for the day. Anyway, could you imagine BTS were brought in to be used as dancers during a black metal show? Just throwing it out there. They could certainly have that invitation. Yeah, we can fit your dance routine right in as soon as the singer throws a bucket full of blood into the crowd. But then your routine goes in, and we're going to throw a severed pig's head on the stage during Act 2. But we suggest that BTS leave the stage before the police swarm the show to arrest someone who burnt down the local church. Yeah, that's gonna get this video some hate. I've pissed off 2 communities in one video. Would be a shame if I used their hashtag on this video. Now look, I've never heard of this band, but it's very similar to Dragval in the sense that it is a one-man effort, except they don't suck, and that is the big thing. That's the biggest factor, I guess, that really helps in an album and its production. It's also taken on the metal world by, well, a storm, and it's interesting. So this band is fronted by John Krieger, who is also called the Witchhawk, which is absolutely badass. Now he's also known by a name that I'm just not even going to try and pronounce, because I'm sorry, I will butcher that, and it will be really bad if I do so. Now cast your mind back to what I said about Dragval and their album. I mentioned on that review, if you didn't see it, that black metal could use with some quality in their mix, and luckily, this album has some really good quality, because this is what I mean. Because black metal, it does not need to be recorded on some crappy sound equipment. You can actually take it to a studio and get it redone, remastered and all this stuff, and you're not going to be letting off any of the badass riffs that you can be hearing on here. Especially if you're comparing it to Gene Simmons from Romeo Must Die over here. Yes, that album, oof, such a terrible effort. Anyway, this effort by Blackbraid is just so good and on so many levels. I can actually listen to this without causing permanent ear damage for one. That is a big, big step. And of course, the music doesn't use drum machine looping with the same loops over and over again. No, we actually have all these different sounds on here. But most importantly, this actually sounds good. I think what really sets this apart from a lot of the other contemporary acts out there is also the variety offered by the band. According to Wikipedia, their music subject matter usually involves several other things such as Native Americans, and you know what? I'm all for it. Go for the cause of that. I'll have to take their word on it, however, because I really can't decipher the lyrics for shit, and I'm not really going to go into, Song Genius to find out every single detail of this album. But the song's titles certainly allude to as much when you go in and cast your eyes over the record. Now, on here there are certainly some acoustic tracks on offer, and yes, I know people will be yucky and saying, oh, it's grandpa guitars, we don't need that. But this leans into the folk metal angle so well that the band are actually known for. I mean, Black Sabbath did it, and they offered a lot of variety on their first albums, and their albums are amazing. This is one of the most important factors when it comes to music. You need a little bit of variety within your album. Not too much that it becomes a clusterfuck of all kinds of menagerie. No, you just need a little bit to keep it fresh, and this album makes use of these instrumental sections to its benefit. After all, it's breaking up the monotony of the metal assault on your ears, which, yeah, that can fatigue people after a while. I am one of those people, I'm sorry to say, but at the end of the day, I like a little bit of variety with my black metal albums. Now, looking at the album artwork for a minute here, and yes, it is epic. It's a very great picture that they have here as the artwork, but it reminded me of Step Brothers. It just reminded me of that scene where he's talking about the wolf and how it has no name, etc., etc.
This is Galco, which is Hebrew for kindness.
Galco?
For some reason, casted my mind to that as soon as I saw it. Maybe you will now, forever, and onwards. But the music on hand is just incredible. You know, it launches into Dusk Eulogy, setting the pace for what is going to be happening here. War Drums at Dawn on the Day of My Death is just an incredible one. Another one as well I like to hear was God of Black Blood, and this warbled scream at the beginning. You know, it's very synonymous to the music on offer here and the genre as a whole. And it's just really awesome to be playing it from start to finish, going through each track and going, you know, this really works, and then, you know, there might be one or two tracks, then there's a little short gap here with acoustic kind of pieces or some little layered kind of electric guitar section, and I just love how it goes into this. It's really impressive how well it's been produced, flows, and goes on to the next tracks or sections anyway of the album. The album isn't a short one by any stretch of the imagination. It's something like nearly 60 minutes in runtime, but it doesn't feel like an album that outstays its welcome. Instead, I feel and embrace this album for its entire duration. You know, it's nothing that I would skip, no parts of it at all. I really love this album from start to finish is what I'm trying to say. And there are a lot of great tracks on offer here. And take that from someone who's not really into the black metal scene. I'm only just starting to get into this, but I'm loving what I'm hearing on this record. Overall, I'm going to give this album a score of 9 million chilies on the spicy scale, with my favourite tracks being The Dying Breath of a Stag, Tears of the Dawn, and He Became the Burning Stars. Yes, this is one hell of a record, and I can understand why the internet is so fascinated by this album. It deserves the praise that it's getting sung. But at the same time, I know a lot of people who are also stating, "Oh, this band sucks for XYZ reasons." Music is subjective, I guess. At the end of the day, if you're not going to like it, you're not going to like it. I found it, I liked it, I'm telling you about it. And you're watching this, you may not agree, but I do suggest at the bare minimum, if you haven't heard of this band and you enjoy black metal, go and listen to them. You might find it quite intriguing. Even though I mentioned all this stuff about folk metal, this and stuff, it's a very minimal part of the album. Trust me, as a whole, this is one dark record, and I can't suggest it more. Anyway, I want to hear your thoughts, so make sure to comment below, and as always, stay spicy out there. If you've enjoyed this content, make sure to smash that like button, subscribe to us, and stay notified for future music related content, because it keeps our manager happy at the end of the day. We are also on Discord, Instagram, Facebook, and all those other social platforms if you want to check us out. As always, people, you have a great day and stay spicy.